All right. So, good morning, everyone. I better pull up my presentation here. Just a second. All right. Sorry about that. Did everyone see the screen there? All right. Thank you. All right. So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Rackham Grad School 101, Master's Financial Aid and Scholarships. So, our goal today is to help you navigate funding opportunities by exploring some of the resources that are available externally, as well as both the Rackham and departmental levels. For those I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, my name is Adam, and I'm the Assistant Director here at Rackham Graduate School Finance and Fellowships. I'll be honest with you right out of the gate. I'm not a professional speaker, so I probably won't inspire you to change the world today, but I do hope to at least help you learn about how to pay for your degree, which is just as important to me. So I spend most of my days staring at spreadsheets, doing cost share calculations, things like that. I just want to let you know that we have an office here at Rackham. We serve our students mostly through email. We do take phone calls, but email is probably the quickest way to reach us. And we do have some like in-person hours, but we are remote a lot of times. And so if you have a specific question for like a specific person in our office, a lot of times it's best just to email Rackham FF. And so if you want to like write that down, it is on our website too, but Rackham FF, and then your question will be routed to the right person that is kind of the expert for the question that you're trying to get answered. So we're going to try to cover everything from some scholarships and some fellowships to grants and loans, and we'll definitely leave some time for questions at the end. So let's talk about how funding actually works at the master's level. You'll notice on the left-hand side there that a little trivia, I guess, if you're ever asked when was the ground broken for Rackham Graduate School, it was in 1936, and then officially dedicated in 1938. So we have a beautiful building here built out of, I think it's called Indiana, limestone, something like that, but it's granite. So it's a just really beautiful building. One of my personal favorite pieces of trivia for you that I'll just leave you with before we get into the more the nitty gritty financial aid stuff is check out the movie Answer This. It's about Rackham graduate students in trivia, and it's filmed at Ashley's. It's one of the kind of worst movies you'll see. It's not a great movie, but it is kind of local, and you'll see Zingerman's and Washtenaw Dairy and Ashley's and the Lockwad, just all kinds of stuff that's right around there. So, practically speaking, I just want to tell you that your home program is going to usually be your best resource when it comes to funding that's specific to like your academic interests and your program. So, your graduate coordinator at the program level, they've worked with students for many years in your academic programs and interests. And so they usually know like what past students have used and past resources that students have utilized and been successful at maybe applying for and things like that. So definitely utilize your home academic program they really are the experts when it comes to your field of study. So one of the other biggest action steps you can do also is most of your academic programs have a like specific funding website. So check out your program funding website. And a lot of times they'll have really good links there for you to check out. So an example is like if you Google search C's Masters funding opportunities, if you're a C's student, they'll have a website and then you can check out funding opportunities that are specific for you. So one of the opportunities that is most popular through the graduate school that we administer here in my office is the student travel grant. So this is open to all of our master's students and our PhD students, and it gives you the opportunity to go travel and present at a conference, workshop, things like that. And we provide up to $900 for domestic travel and up to $1,400 for international travel. So if you find an opportunity at a conference just to present a poster or something like that about your research, know that Rackham will help you out, and you can get one per fiscal year. And so just make sure that you apply before your conference takes place. The application is really easy and right on our website. So it's a really great opportunity to kind of just spread Rackham's prestige and your research across the United States and the world. So another one of our big funds is the emergency funds, and this is very important, of course. So this is designed for sudden, unexpected emergencies. A lot of times they're related to financial emergencies, like medical bills, that might be not covered by like your health insurance or something like that. Crisis travel, death in the family and you need to travel back to California or something like that in an emergency and you just don't have the money, um, please apply for the emergency grant. We really want to support students when you have those kind of emergency situations. It's not for tuition and it's not for rent, so it is really for those unforeseen, emergencies that you might face. It is confidential, so know that if you do share information with us that's about medical or personal things that are going on with your academic program and things like that, there is a button that you can check that says you don't want any information shared with the academic program, and we keep all of that information within the graduate school, and it's very confidential. There's only 5 people that have access to it. So our research grants, for those of you that are doing research, hopefully. We also provide funds for research materials, participant incentives, travel equipment, specialized software. And so this can support your research projects, your thesis work, creative activities, and it is available for all of our master's students. And then if you do go on to be a PhD student, then it's available at the PhD level also. And so there is a lot of support for your research projects. One kind of inside tip is sometimes the applications can take up to 8 to 12 weeks. So plan early. They are reviewed by PhDs here at the graduate school, and postdocs also review some of our research grant requests. So just make sure you plan early, get the applications in. There's also research funding that's available a lot of times through your department and things like that. So you may kind of combine funds. You may get the research grant from us and then get research funding from your department. And you may be able to completely fund your research project through different forms of support through the university. So a lot of research support. For our international students, we do have the International Student Fellowship. And it's for students that might be ineligible for other types of support due to citizenship. So it provides this year over $14,000, and it can be applied to tuition, or we can issue it in a stipend if you are awarded that fellowship in the winter or the spring summer term. So you basically get one term of over $14,000 of support. It does require a program nomination. So it's not one that you can apply for. You do need to talk to your academic program. They may have an internal competition a lot of times where you apply through your academic program, and then they kind of nominate their best students from the academic program up to the graduate school. So just make sure you talk to your program if you're interested in that process. So some other funding opportunities that are available, I'll just highlight some of them. The Gupta Values Scholarship is a great award that's available for master's students. It's for students that exemplify values, leadership, integrity. And this one is one that you do apply for directly. And so my slide is wrong there, so that's why I want to note that, is that this is actually one that you apply for directly on our not our application website. And again, that's linked right on the Rackham funding website. And the easiest way to find that, I just go to Google and type in Rackham funding, and you'll come up with the graduate school funding website. And the awards that you see listed on the Rackham graduate school funding website are the only awards that we do offer. So there isn't kind of like extra kind of discretionary funding, that you can apply for that might not be listed there. It's really all going to be listed right there. You can even go to the website and you can sort for just master's students. You can sort to just domestic, international. There's different sorting. So you can look at the ones that are specific to, what you might be able to qualify for. We also have the Radcliffe Ramsdell Fellowship, and this is for students in religious education or ministry preparation. We have the Shapiro, Malik, and Forst Awards. These recognize academic achievement and service. It can assist you with student loans, so check that out. If you have student loans for underrepresented Michigan students aiming for faculty roles or any roles in like higher education, even if you want to be in my role, which I don't recommend, but if you want to be in my role someday, just as an administrator at a university, you can also apply for the KCP Future Faculty Fellowship. And it does say faculty, but it is available to just people that are just interested in any kind of higher ed or even like education. I believe it's just any kind of education in the state of Michigan. My colleague Leah will be able to correct me after this call if I'm wrong there. So also want to highlight the Travel with Children grant. This offers up to $750 for student parents traveling for academic or for professional reasons. And a lot of our awards do require program nominations. So again, that is something you can filter, sort for. You can look at the ones that are just student application or the ones that are program nomination. So of course, anything at program nomination, you're going to need to talk to your academic program to see what kind of process they have for nominating students up through their academic program. All right. So outside of Rackham, the U of M Library Scholarships and Fellowships portal really is a gold mine. And I really try to highlight this at any talks that I do or when I send emails to students that are just kind of looking for funding, things like that. This has hundreds of internal and external funding opportunities sorted by discipline, need, identity, deadlines. In fact, some of the resources are so helpful that if you guys could actually, I think, take out your phones or your laptops and just right now, just Google UMich Graduate Funding Library. So UMich Graduate Funding Library. And you're going to come up with a link, and it's a crazy long URL, so I can't really like read it off to you. That's why I'm just saying just Google UMich Graduate Funding Library and bookmark that, because it really is, I think, the best like website here at Michigan when it comes to just like a broad general kind of look at all kinds of funding opportunities, not just from the graduate school, but through a lot of the academic programs, schools, and colleges. It'll also provide you with the links to, there's a thing, Grapes through UCLA, which is an amazing resource that students from all around the United States use because they do such a great job with it. And so UCLA Grapes, and then Duke, I'm going to forget the name of it, but it's Fellowship Finder or Scholarship Finder. So Duke, there's also a link to that on there too, which is a national kind of thing. I like these resources better than like Fast Web and like things like that, because a lot of these opportunities, actually probably all of them, are going to be vetted, meaning they've, UCLA, Duke, University of Michigan, on our website, the library website there, they've vetted these opportunities to make sure that they're not scams, they're, safe to send in your information. When you get some of those like kind of fast web things like that, you're going to find yourself like submitting essay after essay after essay. And you may not hear a lot back. A lot of them are corporations. So definitely check out the UMich funding library for graduate students. It is a great resource. It also gives you access to Pivot, and there's a database for U of M affiliates link where you can access other major search engines and tips for looking for funding. So definitely check that out, please. When finding and applying for funding, really, strategy is everything. Start early. Many of the scholarships and grants open months ahead of time. They're highly competitive. I would keep a master list of deadlines, maybe a spreadsheet, so that you can kind of keep track over the course of the year, things that you're trying to target. Check for new opportunities monthly. So there's a newsletter that comes out from the graduate school. It lists opportunities that we have through the graduate school, but then it also will on occasion list things that are vetted through like the provost office and the office of national fellowships at the University of Michigan. And so that is a great resource. Also, keep an eye on the newsletter for when that comes out. I also recommend keeping strong materials like your polished like CV, maybe a compelling personal statement that you're ready to kind of tailor for specific opportunities. Schedule advising meetings with your academic program, a graduate coordinator. That's usually the title of the person in your academic program that can assist you with like looking for funding. But all the academic programs are different, but a lot of times the person is going to be called the graduate coordinator that's going to be able to help you out with looking for things. Funding workshops across the university, you'll find that there's a lot of opportunities. You'll get emails like what Paul sends you, things like that from other people in other offices across the university that will offer other kind of support and workshops. So don't forget to look at the departmental and national scholarships also. Many U of M departments offer their own grants and merit-based scholarships, as we kind of discussed earlier, very specific to students in your academic program, interest, field. Talk to faculty advisors if you have one, the graduate coordinator, as we mentioned. Look at prestigious opportunities like Fulbright, the NSF GRFP, maybe discipline-specific society awards. Many deadlines are, like I said, in advance, so make sure that you start that search early and stay organized and don't miss out on the deadlines. A lot of the deadlines are really firm and they're not going to have grace periods, so make sure you meet deadlines. So some other databases that are beyond the university, and I mentioned some of these earlier, and there it is, the Fellowship Finder, not Scholarship Finder, down on the right-hand side there. So the library has those external resources, GRAPES, for STEM students. There is the GRFP link. We have the ProFellow link. That's an international database of fellowships and competitive opportunities. And then Pivot, as I mentioned earlier, this does require a U of M login, so you'll have to use your UMich unique name to be able to access that. So that is a great resource that is only available to our students. This page is very specific for our international students, as most federal aid, including loans, work study, is strictly open to U.S. citizens only. So scholarships and departmental opportunities are especially crucial. Please use the International Center. They really are a great resource for all kinds of different issues, concerns, opportunities for international students. So stop by the International Center, go to their website and see what kind of resources might be able to assist you. The Office of Financial Aid, and many of you know from undergrad, this is the office that processes federal financial aid, sometimes institutional grants and awards. They only offer that to U.S. citizens and permanent residents. You do have to fill out the FAFSA as a graduate student. You don't have to submit parental information like you maybe had to as an undergrad. And I would recommend contacting the Office of Financial Aid. If you have questions about loans, we're not the experts here at the graduate school, but I do know about some of the changes, which we'll try to talk about here in a second. There are also university loans, short-term loans through the Office of Financial Aid. And so go to their website. Really, they are the office that has anything to do with loans on campus. So private loans, federal loans, short-term university loans, they are the only office on campus that has access to that information and can assist you with questions. One of the big changes for our new graduate borrowers, and this is a pretty big deal, is the HR1 Act that was signed back in July 4th, 2025, has eliminated the Graduate Plus loan for new borrowers starting in 26, 27. And so many of our graduate students are going to have to look at private loan lending. And just be really careful when you're looking at private loan lending. The interest rates, the repayment terms, they're all going to be dictated in the letters and the promissory notes that you initially sign. And with the banks and private lenders, they're going to want their payments right when you graduate. They're going to want it based on the repayment terms that you agreed upon. So it's not going to have that federal flexibility that the Grad Plus loans had, as far as the 4 different repayment options and income based and things like that. So check out each lender, find the one that is the best for you. I hate to say AI, but I think like AI is probably a good resource when looking at like those really long terms and conditions and trying to break down exactly what all of that is saying, because some of that can get a little confusing and wonky. And sometimes having something that just breaks it down into a little bit of simpler terms might be helpful. I just want you guys to be careful because the private loans is just much different than federal loans were for our students. So stay informed. The Office of Financial Aid has a little note, like in the top left corner, it says key info. And they are posting anytime they hear new information that's changing with loans or with the repayment options and things like that. So meet with a financial aid counselor. They're good people over there. I believe they still do just walk-in advising, so you can just show up right at the student activities building. You can also call them and email them. And I think they may have live chat now. So definitely talk to the financial aid office. It's a great resource if you need that assistance. Another resource through the Office of Financial Aid that is very helpful if you are offered work study based on the FAFSA. They have a site, the U of M student employment website, and this has work study and non-work study job opportunities. So if you Google U of M student employment, you'll find that webpage. A lot of the jobs on campus are great because they have flexible hours that might work around your schedule. They'll give you valuable experience. Like here at Rackham, there's a couple of GSRA positions where Rackham students work in. We have a student that works on our team that assists with our some of our applications. So, it's a great opportunity to just learn, get involved. And there's just a really wide kind of spectrum of different opportunities on campus. Another opportunity, so if you're a student parent, the childcare subsidy, I'm sorry. The childcare subsidy is a great opportunity. This subsidy offers financial help based on your income and childcare expenses. So submit applications early. They do have deadlines at the financial aid office, but that is a very popular program that many of our students use, our student parents. So definitely check that out. There's also those short-term loans that I mentioned earlier. So if you find yourself in a bind where maybe you don't get an emergency grant or the emergency grant isn't meeting your need, the short-term emergency loan is helpful. It's no interest, it's no fees, and it's run right through the university. So you just pay back the university on your student account. So it's very easy, and it's, like I said, just 0%. So kind of no risk on that area. There's also, through the financial aid office, coaching workshops and financial wellness services that they put on. So they put on financial wellness events. And again, those will all be listed on the financial aid website key info area. So one of the things that trips up a lot of our students, undergrad and master's students at kind of every level, is when you get a new fellowship or a grant and you have federal financial aid or you have a childcare subsidy or work study, kind of any need-based financial aid, make sure you talk to the Office of Financial Aid. Your aid cannot exceed your total cost of attendance. And so the one thing I don't want to happen to you is if you have a loan that's dispersed or a child care subsidy, and then all of a sudden you get this amazing fellowship or grant and it gets added in, late or something like that, and you haven't talked to the financial aid office about the ramifications, they may have to cut your loan, and they may have to cut your loan significantly, which means you may owe that loan money back to the financial aid office. So if you are taking out loan funding and you are applying for other funding or something like that, just make sure you are consulting with them to see the impact that it is going to have on your existing financial aid. It's very important. All right. So I guess I ended really early today, so I hope you guys have lots of questions. There are some of the links here, so I think we'll share the slides. I'll have to ask Paul or if this is included in our the Grad School 101 site. We have our Rackham news and events, financial aid news. That was the link that I was talking about earlier that provides you with any kind of federal updates with federal financial aid. Your academic program, again, is going to be a great resource for you. So talk to your academic program, talk to graduate coordinators, faculty advisors, that graduate funding website, get that bookmarked. And those are really kind of my best advice today. So I appreciate all of you coming out this morning at 10 o'clock. And I guess we can open the floor here for any questions. And as Paul mentioned, if you have like a personal question about your own financial aid, you can stick around, or you can just email Rackham FF, and we can try to assist you or guide you to the right resource. Again, if you're dealing with FAFSA or federal aid, child care subsidy, just email the financial aid office, which is completely separate from the Rackham Fellowships office. All right.
And while people might be formulating questions in the chat, or you can open up your mics and ask just a couple housekeeping items. One, Adam's mentioned slides and recordings, and again, we will make a recording of this available when it is available. And of course, yeah, we can definitely share the slides after this workshop. And again, it might take a little bit, a small amount of time, but we can definitely share that with everyone that was here. And please go to the chat and fill out the workshop evaluation. We want to know your feedback on this and feedback on future workshops, Grad School 101 topics and workshops, both during this period, which is when we do most of our programming, and workshops during the year aimed at first year graduate students come from suggestions in forums such as this. So please fill that out, give us your feedback, and let us know what other topics you want to see. Maybe you want to go deeper into a topic that Adam talked about today. Maybe it's something not related to financial aid, but is important to you. We want to customize this experience as much as possible. So both Danielle and I put the workshop evaluation in the chat. So please take a moment to fill that out, and you will get resources as well. And we have our first question. Are there any scholarships or awards for top performing students in the masters, irrespective of financial need? Adam, take it away.
Yes, we do have we have awards that are available for master students that don't use financial need. Actually, like none of the awards run through our office really have a need assessment. We don't collect the FAFSA or any kind of need assessment from students. So anything through the financial aid office, through your academic program could be different. But just talking about the graduate school level, we don't have a need assessment. I would encourage you to talk to your academic program, though, because they may use the FAFSA. So if you're looking at opportunities that are on their website, they may have needs. So I do want you to make sure that this isn't kind of a uniform across the university.
Hey Adam, hey Paul, hello team.
Hi.
Myself Siddhant, I'm an incoming master student in CS at UMH. So first of all, thank you for this session. Like I really got to know a lot of new fellowships around here. So I have two questions right now for the Rackham travel grant. So for that one, are we eligible to get that fund for a research paper that we have published in the past, like outside of UMich, but we get an opportunity to republish or present that paper again once we are at UMich?
Yeah, we actually would allow you to do that as long as it's still helping you progress your degree or helping you progress in your degree here at Rackham. And so let's say that that research project that you previously were working on is still somewhat related to a continuance of your academic progress here. And if your academic program, whether it's a faculty advisor, graduate advisor, will sign off and say, yep, that is in fact true, then we would consider you for the travel grant. So yeah, we've had many students that have been in that situation before. So really, it's just a matter of having your program sign off. So I would talk to, try to connect with a faculty advisor or something. Just say, hey, I'm applying for the Rackham travel grant. Here's what I'm hoping to go present and where I'm going to present, and you're going to get a email from Rackham asking you to endorse this, and so that they know what's going on. But yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't see concerns there.
Okay, and another question, like for one of the funding that I just saw through the links here in the chat, the deadline for that funding is mentioned as October 2025. So that
Oh,
is for
thank
the
you.
previous year. And
Yes,
like since I'm a first year master student at UMich this year, so I will be eligible to apply for upcoming year, right?
correct. Yep. Thank you. Thank you. I'll make sure to get that updated. Yep. Most of our deadlines usually stay like the same. They just usually bump up like 1 year. And if we do change them, it might just be like 1 or 2 days here and there. So most of the time they're going to be consistent from year to year. But yeah, thank you for noticing that. I appreciate that.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for the confirmation. That's all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. It looks like we have a question. I understand student employment can be competitive, GSRA, GSI positions. The best ways to find these positions and how ahead of time should you start looking? Great question. They are competitive at the master's level, especially I think, especially depending on like your academic program and just the opportunities that they may have. That's usually going to be, I think, where you're going to find the most opportunity is going to be through your academic program and talking to them. And then the other area would be that student employment website. I would recommend starting that search now. I would say most of the applications for fall term are probably open. So if you go to the UMich student employment website, start checking those opportunities out now and submitting applications. But there are ones that open throughout the year. There's ones that might just be winter term only. So if you don't see anything that fits right now, keep an eye on it. They do open up throughout the year. Great question. And here at Michigan, those positions is many times will provide a full tuition waiver depending on the hours that you're working. And the stipend is pretty good stipend rate. And they'll have grad insurance also associated with that. So just talk to your program and they will kind of let you know what opportunities they might have available and the hours and the associated benefits with that position. Right. Our session recordings available, and Paul will make the session recordings available, and I think they're also on YouTube too, which last I checked I only had like 20 views from last year, so I'm hoping it goes viral this year. Just want to confirm that receiving additional fellowships and scholarships will not impact your other aid unless it is federal loan or work study. That's a great question. I really emphasize the federal loan and work study, as you kind of heard during the presentation, but there are specific like external and departmental awards that I have seen that are impacted by other funding that comes in. And so I would, if you have something already, like you have a scholarship, fellowship, and something else is coming in, just run it by your program, because it's much better than not running it by your program and all of a sudden getting some kind of surprise bill or something that then says, hey, we told you 2 months ago and you signed off on this saying like, okay, and you might have forgotten. So just run it by your program, run it by us. If it's our award, if it's financial aid, run it by the financial aid, wherever the source of the funding is. Let those people know and say, hey, I'm going to be getting another 5,000, 10,000, or whatever it might be, because I just don't want you to have those surprises. And as long as you run it by people, typically it's nothing is going to happen, but I just don't want you to have those kind of surprises. Is there any hard stop? Oh yeah, follow up on that.
Quick follow up on that.
Yeah.
I've for program specific funding, it doesn't seem like there is a financial aid sort of contact within my program. So is that the same, like just reach out to the program coordinator, like some of the other discussions, or like I'm not really sure who to reach out to for, making that known, because I received program funding and an external scholarship already. So
Yeah, great question. So a lot of times the person is probably called a graduate coordinator. You can email us and we can try to just guide you to the right person if you're unable to find them. I think another way that students are able to locate that person that might be specific for master's students is by emailing the general office for your program and just saying like, hey, I'm trying to find the graduate coordinator. I have funding questions. And they should be able to get you right to the right person. But I also have this massive directory of like 600 people. And if you email Rackham FF and just say, hey, I'm trying to, reach out with questions about my funding, we're more than happy to get you to the right person, the
sure,
right
thank you.
office. Yeah, for sure. Is there any hard stop for the number of awardees for the International Student Fellowship? I do see that each program can nominate 2 students. So yes, there is a number of awardees that we do cap it at. It is, I don't want to quote an exact number, but we have a lot of the international fellowships. So we're able to fund a lot of students. We have donor funding that also assists us with some very specific regions of the world. So yeah, we have quite a few fellowships that we offer. The programs are limited to their nominations, and we do that so that we limit the number of nominations. We want to try to keep a good award rate, where we're able to award a lot of our students that are nominated for that award. So talk to your program. We give programs also the opportunity to nominate more students if they have students that might match specific donor criteria. And all of that is internally run through our office and the academic program. So your first resource is going to be talking to the academic program, and they will usually they're going to have an internal process a lot of times, especially the larger programs that have a lot of students. They're going to say, okay, everybody apply here to the program, and then we're going to pick our top 2-3 students, whatever their kind of number is that they're allowed to nominate, and then they put them forward. Good question. Best resource for finding GSRA positions. If you Google UMich student employment, that should be the best resource, I would say, for finding those positions. And so I don't know too much about employment positions other than directing people to the student employment website. So Alex, I don't know the answer to your question. I would talk to your program, or there is academic HR. So there's an academic HR office on campus, and I think they may be best to answer that question. I don't hire any students, and I'm just not an expert on the employment front too much. A lot of interest in GSI positions and GSR positions. Check out the student employment website. Yep, as Danielle mentioned, I think that's really going to be your best resource. For Sydney's question, can you explain more about the scholarship profile section in Wolverine Access? What is this for? Who are the donors that the information is shared with? So the My Scholarship Profile is something that is administered through the Office of Financial Aid. And some offices on campus use this when trying to match students with extremely specific criteria for donor awards. Our office does not use the My Scholarship Profile, so I'll be completely honest with you. If you have information in there, we have no need for that information, and so we wouldn't ever kind of see that because we don't have any thing that matches students through that tool. However, your program may use it. I know the Office of Financial Aid uses it on occasion. So I would reach out to the Office of Financial Aid to ask them questions about the scholarship profile. And they also have like a listing on their website too of scholarships. And then if your academic program may have scholarships, they may use it. But I just want to be honest, we just don't use it here at the graduate school level. Great question, though. Not a lot of people know about the scholarship profile. You're going to see if you do go to it, it's very specific. A lot of the questions are very specific. Like, do you have a descendant of the World War I infantry army, stuff like it's pretty specific stuff. So you may not be able to check mark a lot of those boxes. But thank you for bringing that up. Alice, yes.
Thanks. I was curious. I've seen a lot of funding opportunities like specific to research or traveling to present research, but a lot of them do specify like degree required research. And I wanted to ask, so I'm in the Master of Public Policy program, and there is not degree required research. I think you can optionally do a thesis, which I do hope to do. But I'm wondering, like, how, nitty gritty are they on the degree required, and would doing an optional research project count?
Yeah, great question. For the travel grant, you would certainly be eligible. Like it can be anything that's kind of helping your degree progress or your academic progress. We really support students with kind of any presentations, posters, as long as your faculty advisor, your graduate program kind of is like, yeah, this is good. I think the only time I've ever really seen those kind of, declined is if it's just really something that's like not related at all to your progress and you can't connect it at all. I guess an example might be a computer science student that is trying to go present their poetry, and how are they connecting, I guess, the poetry to their computer science degree? And I guess that may be possible, but they would just need to do that and have their program kind of support that. As far as the research grant, Leah, I know you're on the call and I don't want to put you on the spot. Did you hear the question regarding the research grant and whether if it's research that's not necessarily associated with your direct degree at Rackham? I don't know if you can speak to that. Leah does a lot of our work with, she actually fully runs the research grant programs.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like it definitely, like Adam said, needs to contribute to your progress towards degree. And then your advisor would have to sign off on it. The research grant has a lot of nuance because research is so niche and different, so it's really on like a case by case basis.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, we have the postdoc reviewers and like our PhD reviewers will be specific to like your field or your general field of study. And so they're the people that will review it and give you feedback or let you know if it's not going to work. But a lot of times they'll give you feedback and they'll kind of work with you to try to return it back and things like that. If you also have like a specific question, you can email Rackham FF if you want to email a more specific question about exactly what you're hoping to do. And one of our deans, Dean Emily Swafford, is a great resource that we use to kind of ask those more like nuanced questions about very specific research and whether it might be eligible. So feel free to send us an email once you kind of start nailing down exactly what you're hoping to do with research. And it doesn't have to be required research, Alice. So I think also, so it can be just research that's not necessarily required by your program, but is research that's associated with your degree progress.
Thank you so much. That was very helpful.
Yeah, you're welcome, Alice. The Rackham Travel Grant Funding presenting August application. It requests the name of my school's graduate coordinator. Do you know who that is for C's? I wasn't able to find it on the website. Yeah, this kind of goes back to that question earlier. Sometimes it's kind of hard to find that name for the first time. I believe it's going to be Mark Romanowski, though, so I'll just go ahead and throw his name out. Mark Romanowski, I believe, is going to be your C's person, and if he's not, he'll definitely get you to the right person. And if you're trying to find, that graduate coordinator, maybe just email like the general email address and just ask who is the graduate coordinator that oversees funding or can answer questions about funding. Some programs are just super small, and so they may just have one person that works with PhD and master's students. Some of the programs, like mechanical engineering, chemistry, might have 4 graduate coordinators that are working with students. And so these are not academic advisors. These are more people that are kind of helping to administer the funding and just kind of keeping everything on track with the program and with students. So they're a great resource. I'm a incoming international student and I'm eligible to apply for scholarship. So on the Rackham graduate funding website, you can sort for international fellowships and awards. We only offer the international fellowship as far as like a kind of standalone fellowship that is available for international students. But we have a lot of other opportunities that are available for our domestic and international students. So check out our website. We have a large list of funding opportunities, but a lot of them are going to be program nomination. So make sure, I hate to keep pointing you to your academic program, but they are going to be your just best resource typically when it comes to funding, because they're going to be the people that can nominate you to awards that you may match. Great questions today. They're really good. And as Paul mentioned, this is our second year of doing the master's only presentation. So seriously, like if there's stuff that I didn't like dive into enough, let us know in the evaluation, because it certainly helps us make this program better for future students. Paul, do you want to wrap us up with a few jokes or?
Jokes, haiku about science and STEM that I got a grant for. I can do that. No, folks, thanks for coming. Once again, Danielle's going to drop that link for the evaluation. Give us that feedback. Thank you so much. This will be, again, for those that might have missed it or didn't see the chat, this is being recorded. This will be put into the workshop recording section of Grad School 101. And we will let you know when that becomes available, but that you can always also just check back, because I know inboxes get, you guys get a lot of emails and messages. So when in doubt, you can go back to the workshop recording section. If you go now, actually, there are workshop recordings from last year and previous years. So we keep the archive there for a little bit, a lot of the time, just to sort of have stuff. So you can always go back and view this and other topics in there. But check back, because we do the workshops that are being recorded. Not all of them are, but workshops such as this, they're very like nuts and boltsy are. Those will be made available. So just keep checking back, and you can always message me in the portal, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Other than that, thank you everyone for coming. Great chat today, great questions, and
Yeah.
thank you. Enjoy your day.
Thanks, everyone.